Hello, everyone. Now everyone can hear what I'm saying. I had my volume all the way down. It's funny how that works. You think you have all the steps, you think you have all the boxes checked when you're ready to go, but you forget something as simple as this. So you know what? For the folks out there listening or watching on Full Press Radio at Full Press Radio, let's do this again, Mike.
La la la.
Hey.
Always great to join you, bro. Always great. Friday, April 23rd.
All right. We don't have to do all that. I just want to do the hello, all right? All right? Cut it out, man. No, obviously we've tried to go set up the whole video thing on our end again. The last couple weeks it's been kind of hit or miss. So I obviously when we first jumped in, it was definitely a miss. So we are live though. We are audio's coming through on our radio app and of course here on video. So of course you're gonna hear all of our opinions. So let's get into it. And I it's unfortunate that we have to start the show off with sad news. And, if anyone was up late last night or in the evening, they saw the tragic news of, Terrence Clark's unfortunate passing, Boston kid, Kentucky basketball player. And, it's sad. It's sad. I mean, especially again, for those who live in the New England and Boston area. Obviously, he was a local kid who, really had a whole lot of potential, and a tragic car accident ended his life at 19, and it was very sad to see that.
Extremely sad to see that, and so many people, that we, come in contact with. Of course, being in this area, a local kid, with all the promise in the world, just. Unfortunately, meeting his demise, especially in that fashion, there's never an easy way or never a good way, but especially in that fashion, knowing that he had so much life to live and a bright future ahead of him. So sorry and just so disheartened to hear it. Our condolences go out to his family, obviously, first and foremost, the basketball program, and just everything that has happened as a result of this. Hug your loved ones a little tighter today, because you're never guaranteed the next hour, let alone the next day or the next week or the next month. Words of wisdom that I wish I lived by more often, but I plan to, and you always plan to be better each and every day. But yeah, just such a tragic story, and all the local tributes from people that knew him tell you exactly what kind of kid this kid was. Just a bright life, taken from us way too quick.
Yeah, and again, it's never ending. I mean, these, unfortunately, you wish you could solve the riddle of unexpected tragedies, but that is life. I mean, it's very precious, and oftentimes these are the reminders that we need of that. And it's sad that again, a promising young kid from obviously some ties to where we're both from. So yeah, sad news, and certainly not something you wanna see as you closing out the night. But yeah, so unfortunately, and all too often, it feels like we're opening shows with stuff like this, and it's we certainly aren't obligated to talk about it, but out of respect, obviously, for who the kid was and what we do, I mean, it's certainly appropriate for us to bring it up and obviously show respect to him, and hopefully the family can recoup and come together after all this hopefully settles a little bit. But yesterday though, and we're gonna squeeze right back into our our bread and butter, and that's talking about people complaining about the NFL and in particular certain quarterbacks. A rule was passed yesterday, or a change in philosophy. I don't know how you want to call it, but basically the NFL approved the use of a wider range of jersey numbers for various positions, and in a very and I mean this in a very jokingly way, because he is old, a very old man yelling at a cloud moment. Tom Brady was pretty, I don't want to say upset, because again, I don't think he was like pissed off, but he did react pretty strongly to this, and I do think he makes some good points in terms of there is going to be some confusion when it comes to adjusting to different jersey numbers and stuff like that. But I don't know if it's necessarily going to be a huge deal for the players necessarily. I think it's going to be a bigger issue for the officials because they already screw up when it comes to knowing what players eligible, ineligible, who's supposed to be where, and all that. Like, I feel like this is only going to add confusion more so to the referees as opposed to the players, because I think after a little bit, the players will get used to it, and they spend so much time studying these players throughout the week anyways. They're going to know who they are by number. So I wanted to get your thoughts about it. Look, I don't, it's not like a big impact to me. I mean, if I had my preference, I don't understand why they're changing it. I don't get the benefit. You know what I'm saying? It seems just like a pointless change that could cause some issues, and it could just be early on, but if it causes any issues at all, I mean, is it worth it? I don't know. So I want to get your thoughts on that, Mike. Do you have a strong opinion? Do you rather your linemen be, the numbers they are, the linebackers be the numbers they are, and so on and so forth?
I'm a traditionalist. I'm with Brady on this one. I really don't understand it. I don't get it. To me, the only possible reason for it is jersey sales. I mean, that to me is really what drives this.
I honestly think that's the only reason.
Exactly. I mean, you look at it and all of a sudden now your favorite corner or your favorite lineman or whatever is now going to have a different jersey number. Oh, this is the year they changed the jersey. I want to go out and get it. Yeah, from a marketing standpoint, it makes some sense. People can, players change jerseys. I mean, we talk about, unfortunately, to bring it back to something tragic, the late great Kobe Bryant. You talk about people that were very strong fans of his that owned number 8 and the number 24 jersey. Mm-hmm. They liked the fact that he wore 2 different numbers and really had 2 separate Hall of Fame careers in each number, which is mind-boggling. But even the Jordan wearing the 45, or anytime a player of your favorite player wears a different uniform. LeBron's worn number 6, he's worn 23. So there's been a lot of that in pro sports, especially recently. To me, that's the only reason here. You're absolutely right. When you talk about you talk about players now needing to block a certain player or lineman or whatnot, maybe players that don't have the marquee name or the marquee face that you're used to seeing, but you're used to blocking the number, that can cause some confusion. So from a quarterback standpoint, Brady's not just old man yelling at the cloud here. There are protection issues that could be lurking below the surface. And I'm not saying this is going to be a huge, massive problem, or all of a sudden, like players are going to start getting injured at alarming rates or anything like that. I don't foresee that being an issue, but this could add another layer of difficulty to playing the position that you play. And if that is the case, then you really have to start wondering, is, selling, this one's jersey for a single digit number really worth it if someone ends up getting hurt as a result of this. So
hold on, let me ask you something. Does the NFL get money for selling jerseys?
Well, last I checked, yeah.
Okay, then it's worth it. Doesn't matter what else, because it does. And that's really the thing. It's about money, because obviously this the way it's set up, if players want to see, this is what they do. If players want to change their number now, like, there's folks out there that really want, say, their college number. You know what they have to do? They have to buy out all the inventory that the NFL currently has of their current number. So right then and there, boom, money for the NFL. And then, of course, next year it becomes open reign for anyone to do that. Boom, money for the NFL, because, well, hey, you've worn I can't think of a name, a specific player, but player X has worn this number only because he couldn't wear this one before, and now he switches, and he's your favorite player. So guess what? How many people are going to go out and buy that new jersey? So, yeah, this is, totally, 100% a cash grab by the NFL. This is a quick throw it out there. I mean, this is, and again, can you blame them? I mean, think about all the money they just, I'm sitting here, it's a woe is me, NFL. They lose all this revenue from obviously lack of fans in the stands. Meanwhile, they sign a massive TV deal, so it's not like they're short of money. But yeah, this is a money grab for them, plain and simple. There's nothing they don't care about anything else about except the greenbacks, man. That's all it's about, just the greenbacks.
That's it. You really want to take it back? You really want me to show my age? All about the Benjamins.
Yeah, there you go.
Yes,
but,
folks, I'm that old.
Yes, he's very he actually he's older than I am. I am the youngster on this program. That's him.
Mighty.
Well, that's why I said old man yelling at cloud. I knew you were gonna relate. So
yeah, absolutely, I yell at the clouds all the time. They don't respond to me.
No, they don't. Care. Sometimes they do, but then that's when we start to worry about you. No, it's look. I don't think. I had someone say yesterday, and maybe I'm off on this, and maybe my definition of evolution of a game is different than theirs, but they suggested this was an example of the game evolving, and I'm scratching my head, and I'm like, how can a change in fabric represent an evolution of the game? You know what I'm saying? Like, am I wrong? Like, does that make sense in this situation? Am I off here? Because like I tried wrapping my mind around it, because to me, evolution of the game is an actual fundamental change in how the game is played. Will
Correct.
This create adjustments? Sure, but I don't think you're changing anything schematically. You know what I mean? I don't think there's a physical advantage given to one side or the other. Like, say if or when the NFL changed the defensive back rules to force you to be at least 5 yards away. You know what I mean? There's that 5-yard buffer zone where you can create contact. Before, you could bang the receiver all the way up and down the field. That wasn't a problem. So to me, that's an evolution. That's a fundamental change. This is just a change of fabric that might cause some issues early on, but I think ultimately it's no evolution of the game. So that was one of the things yesterday that caught the ire of some people on Twitter. And if you feel like going down that rabbit hole and you want to check out my timeline, and I caution you folks, I really I am not saying this lightly.
It's not for the faint of heart.
Yeah, thank you. It is not for the faint of heart. That is right, Mike. Check it out, because again, I was surprised at how passionate people were to suggest this, and of course, I mean, this was just one opportunity for everyone to kind of jump down Brady, because, well, if you hate Brady, well, you're going to say pretty much anything. Again, check out my timeline if you feel like going down that rabbit hole. But I did find it funny. He seemed a little bit more upset about this than, like, the NFL railroading him in Deflategate. You know what I mean? Like, I don't, obviously I'm exaggerating a little bit, but it comes across that way, or at least in the public eye. Because, I mean, we both know, obviously, he was furious during the Deflategate stuff. But he never let that out in public. It was always, just do the same thing in front of the camera. Don't let that get to you, and don't have a public reaction like that. This was a lot different, and I thought it was pretty funny that he did show so emotion based on this. So.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and then the amount of emotion that he showed on it as well.
It wasn't just one post.
A couple of different tweets. I mean, Tom definitely took social media to voice his displeasure. But no, all kidding aside, there are concerns, and I think that's what he's getting at. And I can't say I think he's off base, or I can't say I think that he's making much ado about nothing. Most of the snark machine out there will tell you, oh, you're just old or whatever. Bottom line is, folks, there are reasons to be concerned a little bit there. So, we'll see. We'll see what happens. Maybe this is the cash grab that the NFL wants it to be, and maybe it is much ado about nothing. I've been accused of severely overreacting when it came to my thoughts on the NFL's approach to COVID-19 and how they, were able to keep their players healthy, and that I really made the sky fall. I've been accused of that. Nice reference there.
Yeah, I like that. That was good.
Had to throw that in there. Season 324, folks.
Yeah.
But yep. In any case,
don't worry. Wait until I drop my flank 2 position. That's coming. Don't worry.
That's it. Don't worry. We'll call the Starkwood mercenaries, and they'll be all set. They'll take care of everything.
Okay,
well trained.
Talk about a rabbit hole. That's something that we're about to go down if we keep talking about
24
exactly.
Like this. We better cut it right here.
Actually,
all kidding aside, Brady.
Yeah, well, and that was obviously not the only thing that really was Brady sent. I actually spent quite a bit of time on Twitter yesterday. I'm not going to lie. It was a eventful day, to say the least. There was a lot of, we're kind of still on that whole, Brady's just the guy. And that's the funny thing about it. So I put out a tweet yesterday, and it said, what did it say? I don't even know what it said. I gotta bring it up so I make sure I quote myself correctly. Essentially, it was talking about, and I will continue the stall. There we go. I just simply said, Tom Brady has twice taken over a team that was under 500 the year before and then won a Super Bowl in his first season, and people still think he is just the guy. And, naturally that got a lot of reaction on both sides. And I was surprised that all the people, and this is, we see this cycle, Mike, every single year. It goes from not good enough to they're not going to win to, well, of course they won because the team was stacked. Brady got carried by his defense again. And then now it's like people are telling me like, oh, no one ever thinks he's just a guy. And I'm literally sitting there screenshotting messages from minutes earlier of them essentially saying the same thing. Folks, go to Twitter, search any quarterback could have won, and you'll find plenty of examples of just that. I mean, I had people telling me that, someone said 20 starters or 10 starters and 10 backups had better arms than him, and then they're trying to explain that. I don't know. Mike, I don't know what to do, man. I'm at my wit's end. Sometimes I feel like I'm being productive, then other times I'm sitting there and I'm noticing my hair change color, like instantly, from vibrant brown to gray, and just fall out. That's what I feel like dealing with this. But I do feel it is my duty to continue to knock down these morons, as I like to call them.
It absolutely is your duty. It is your chosen profession. It is what you were meant to do, my friend. And you fight the good fight so we don't have to here on this crazy Twitterverse that we call whatever. I don't even know what to call it anymore, but keep fighting the good fight. I encourage you not to give up that fight because we want you on that wall. We need you on that wall. And no, all kidding aside, what are we going to do without your lending a thicket of intellectual
Hey, that's how I see it too.
Realism. Yeah.
I always thought that was just my narcissism, but apparently it's true. Everyone actually does need me and values my opinion, so I appreciate that positive reinforcement.
Well, we value you. We value your opinion. Although one day, I'm going to try to see if I can get you to go for 48 hours without engaging these idiots. One of these days.
How are you going to get my phone away from me? I mean, let's be real. You would have to take my phone away from me.
Yes. Well, to do that, expect a visit from my cousins Carmine and Nunzio. They will be there very shortly, and they'll help you.
Okay, all right.
They'll help you get the phone.
Fair enough. Yeah. Flash forward 24 hours later, I woke up in the Hudson River in a sack, Jerry. But no, like honestly, it's the same thing over and over again, and one of the things I like to point out, and this was another tweet, and you can use this information as you please, but every single time people bring up the whole defensive carried by his defense, there's no coincidence they only use points per game. Like, I mean, that's it. They never ever use any of the other metrics. You know why, Mike? You know why? Because
why is that?
I'm gonna tell you, Mike, because none of them back up that silly narrative. Like, people are sitting here trying to convince me, oh, okay, let's see. If you have a defense that is top 10 in points per game, but is in the bottom third in yards allowed, you do not have an elite defense. I don't care how you twist it, how you turn it, you do not have an elite defense. Mediocre at best, but certainly not elite. And people can't understand that. Like, they're like, well, the game, you don't score points with yards. Well, I mean, technically, no, but yes, you do. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, people so willingly just dumb down these arguments. Like, they just, la, 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 don't want to hear it, I'm just going to say, well, points win games. Well, obviously. But you can't sit here and tell me that a team that was, say, Let's go to 2007. Fifth in points allowed, but 29th in yards allowed in the league. Guess what happened that year in the Super Bowl? The Patriots couldn't stop the Eagles. It was not a surprise that that happened because they weren't a great defense. But these people out here will sit there and say, oh, well, that was one of Tom Brady's top 10 defenses. Well, no, it wasn't a top 10 defense. It was a bottom third in the league defense. And these concepts, and we talk about it all the time. Like, one of my issues and what probably keeps me sucked into all this all the time is that I fear for the future, my friend. You know how people are worried about the green Earth? You know, Earth Day was yesterday. Everyone's worried about global warming, this, that, and the other.
Yes.
I'm worried about how we talk about football in the future, because the way I see it is we are trending towards a very awful era of sport. I mean, we're already kind of in that in a way, but like I feel like we're trending more and more towards bare bones, superficial, shock and awe coverage of football, and the nuances are going to be gone. They're going to be gone. No one's going to actually sit there and want to actually figure out why there's a huge discrepancy in those numbers. They're just going to say, oh, well, points per game makes my case, so I don't want to know anything else, even though everything else tells me opposite. Logic people, smart people would sit there and say, you know what? Maybe I should look into this, because how can a team that I think is good because they're fifth in points give up so many yards, or be middle of the pack in DVOA, or, you know, allow all this on third down? Well, people don't want to do that. They just see points per game. Well, they're a top 5 defense or top 10 defense. Well, no, they're not. And, you know, if you don't have to look too hard to figure out why, in that case, you know, there was that big gap. It's because the offense was elite. And that was really the case for a majority of Tom's time with the Patriots. There was a stretch where from 2010 through the 2013 season, so 4 years, where the Patriots defense was no better than 25th in yards allowed per season. No better than 25th in the league, which is the very bottom of the league. And at one point, they were 29th and 31st. And twice they were 25th. In 3 of those 4 seasons, they had a top 10 points per game defense. And Mike, I'm going to jog your memory a little bit. We're talking about the Lee Bodden era, okay? The Dwayne Starks, the Tyrone Wheatley cornerback era of Patriots football. And anyone who lived that will sit there and tell you that none of those defenses were close to elite, but they are considered part of his top 10 defenses he always has. So, again, I combat this stuff because, again, I do fear for the future, my friend. Maybe not the Earth. Maybe not the Earth. Maybe my concerns are a little misguided. But nonetheless, I do worry about the future.
I don't think they're misguided. I think in a lot of ways you've already seen that erosion that you're talking about. You know, the delving into the what have you done for me lately crowd. And I'm not even talking about lately as being, recent months, weeks. I'm talking days and hours is really what people are buying to. And, you know, the latest, the latest video clip that you see on social media is how you're measuring a lot of these players. You're seeing a lot of these players get notoriety. And quite frankly, maybe they have a great game, or maybe they have a couple of good highlight plays. And then all of a sudden they're thrust into an echelon that they do not belong in. And, I'm not saying that, we're not talking anyone specific here, folks. I'm not talking anyone specific. And I'm not just talking about professional football either. I'm talking about all of pro sports. We see it all the time in the NBA. Guys that, have maybe like a 1 or 2 stretch of good games, and all of a sudden they're thrust into superstar status before they're ready to even be there. So take a long-term approach, take an overview of everything that's going on. I think that's what Ian and I are trying to impress upon people, is that you need to understand the context behind what you're spewing out. Don't just look at statistics that you find on Twitter copy and paste them into a tweet and then make it seem like you're making an argument. Understand the context. Like, for a good example, you mentioned the Lee Bodden, Dwayne Starks type defense that the Patriots put out for a good, number of years.
Don't forget
while
Julian
Tom Brady
Edelman
was their quarterback. Yeah, absolutely. Julian Edelman playing defensive back. And as much as I love Jules, I mean, that's not his natural position. Then he'd be the first to tell you that. Look, bottom line, if you're looking at the whole picture and you want to make an argument, fine. But most of these people are not. They're taking regurgitated stats that are out there from others that are thrown out to gain attention, folks. That's all they're required to
morons.
Do. They don't. Yeah,
they are morons. Not well. I mean, we're morons too,
Yeah.
but just not in this sense.
Well, yes, absolutely. Well, I think everybody knows that.
Yeah.
But in any case, that's what we're trying to say. Understand the context of what you're throwing out there for an argument. If you're going to make one, make sure that it makes sense and make sure that it has some grounding in reality, because that's what grinds my friends' gears more than anything else. It's that so many of these, I know I love to really, get on him about stuff like this and, and then tell him that, he can't lay off it. But what does grind your gears, and it does, for me as well, is when people make arguments that really just don't have any basis in reality, or that are just blatantly incorrect, and they're made in a way that makes them seem correct. And that's something that really needs to be cleared up. So that's my 2 cents on the matter. But no, I don't think you're, I think you're more onto this than you think you are.
No, I think I'm pretty on to it. I'm pretty confident in my opinions. You should know this by now.
Yes, I do. But, for the benefit of our listeners, so that way they don't think you're a complete and utter narcissist. Well, I guess that, I guess the ship has sailed on that.
Yeah, well,
never mind, folks.
It's okay. It's all right. I've accepted it. I yearn for the attention, so it's okay. That's why I retweeted. Do you ever yearn, Jerry? That's why I retweeted a tweet that I had tweeted last March. That was a little tongue twister a little bit. Tweeted, whatever. Anyways, it had basically said, and we talked about this, I'm sure, that, prior to, this was early March, so this was before Brady even announced that he was leaving the Patriots. I had said that if, at least 2/3 of the league would be better if they swapped Brady out for their current quarterback, leading into this past season. And I said no one would be worse. And you remember the reaction I got? You remember oh my God, there's no way. I said Tom Brady could have won a Super Bowl with the Chiefs last year or in 2019. And they were like, there's no way that Tom Brady could have done this. Well, again, pat myself on the back a little bit there. But no, we'll nip the butt in this here a little bit, because I do want to mention out there to the folks listening and watching that on Monday, this upcoming Monday, 6:30 on Full Press Radio, obviously on video and everything like that. We will be doing our group mock draft. We're going to mock the first round. We're going to discuss the picks and have a lot of fun doing that. So we encourage everyone to tune in and get involved. We obviously want to, hear your opinion and get your input and all that stuff, and tell us, where we went wrong, because I'm sure there's going to be plenty of opportunities to do that. And then on Thursday, round 1 of the draft, join us live, same thing, on Full Press Radio, both audio and visual, while we break down the first round and react to it live, as they say. So definitely tune in for that. So now that we got that out of the way, Mike, I want to talk about some of my favorite things I saw on social media the last couple of days, because there was a bunch. And the least of which, I'm not talking about the first 7 minutes of Mortal Kombat. I saw that. And I'm going to watch the movie tonight, by the way. HBO Max. I saw, and, one of the things about limited fans in the stands is we see these happen in far more clarity and far more often situations that these occur. Grown men fighting with kids for baseballs. Now, I happen to think it's the funniest thing in the world when they make an ass of themselves. And we're not going to obviously have the video for it, but I'm going to play the audio clip of it. And if you haven't seen it, I've retweeted it from the FPC at FPC Radio Live account, so you can watch along with us if you feel like it. But it's hilarious because this guy loses his nachos, he trips and falls, and he still loses the ball to the little kid. So here we go.
Still, they get it. Just
Watch the fan go after the Suarez homer. Oh no! Oh, man down! And then the little kid runs.
Let me give you a little description of what happened. The guy, it hit him in the hands, Mike. He duffed it. It was in his hands. It hit his hands, rolled forward. He tried to stretch across the seat, and everything just went tumbling down. I mean, he missed the step. He went face first into the next row, and nachos went everywhere. And another little kid came up and took the ball anyway. So to that, I say that was hilarious. I got a lot of laughs out of that. Of course, fortunately the guy was all right. But I don't know. Have you ever got a baseball or anything like that? Have you ever been involved in some sort of embarrassing? The more embarrassing, the better. Whatever story you have, please divulge if you've ever done something similar.
I caught a foul ball at a minor league game, a Pawtucket Red Sox game. They were playing the Toledo Mud Hens, and it was a corporate event, believe it or not. When I first graduated from college, I was at a corporate event, and it bounced off the hospitality tent, and I happened to be right under it and caught it. Absolutely no embarrassing thing of that nature. It was an easy catch. It just kind of like fell right on my lap, so I was able to get that. But I've seen some idiotic struggles in my life. It was actually at a WWE event one time, and I saw something. They were doing those fan cannon toss, where they were tossing, and I saw it looked like a guy in maybe his early 20s just like bump a couple of twins, a couple of twin boys out of the way, and these kids couldn't have been more than like 7 or 8 years old to get a t-shirt, and just kind of body bumped them out of the way. And my friends and I were like giving him a hard time about it, and he just walked away. I don't even think he was in our section because he just disappeared. We didn't see him for the rest of the night. But you want to talk about new level of scum? I mean, come on, really. that's really interesting. Yeah. But no embarrassing stories on my end, but sorry to disappoint.
Don't worry. I'll do some research to find out what you're hiding. I know you're hiding something here. There's something here that's
lurking below the surface.
Lurking below the surface that we will find. No, unfortunately, I've never I guess caught a foul ball or a puck or whatever. If a puck goes in the stands, my mom did catch one with her head once. But that wasn't on purpose. I'll assure you that it wasn't like she was diving for it and decided to dive right into a flying puck. No, it just unexpectedly hit her in the head, and I got it from there. But no other instances where that happened. But here's the other thing, and it's kind of unrelated. I'm just laughing because people are still asking me who refers to Tom Brady. It's just the guy, and I just keep replying, "See my timeline," and that's it's not too far down before you see all the tweets that I saved earlier. But someone asked the question on Twitter, and I thought it was interesting because I wanted to get your opinion. What was the first scary movie that you were like at a young age that you were exposed to? Because I feel like sometimes this could be like pretty traumatic for people. So like, say you're a kid, maybe you were born in the 2000s or whatever, and someone decided to show you Saw at like age 5. You would think that would probably screw the kid up a little bit, right?
Yeah, I would think so.
Yeah, exactly.
I would think so.
I mean, I'm a little freaked out by certainly the first one. You never know when you're gonna wake up with a chain around your ankle and all that stuff. But it got me thinking because I go back to my youth, Mike, and I was shown, and I think I mentioned this before, but for the purpose of this conversation, I'm going to bring it up again. I was shown the movie Child's Play at a very young age. Now, if anyone's not familiar with that movie, it's not a fun-loving movie about kids playing. No, it's about a murderous doll who comes to life, and Chucky. And anyone who's familiar with Chucky, there you go. And wouldn't you believe it, Mike? But I was also given a stuffed animal, sort of say, that looked almost identical to it, because there were plenty out there that were almost replicas, or this might have even been a trademarked, actual thing from the movie. I couldn't even tell you. All I know is
There wasn't that doll you have that looks like Estelle Costanza, though.
no. I'm thinking about it now.
Just checking for the benefit. Yeah, just for the benefit of our listeners.
Yeah.
I'm just checking, bud.
No, so yeah, I needless to say, I was a little screwed up because of that. I tend to like horror films now, so maybe that kind of got me used to them, and I kind of really like them now, and I like torturing myself like that, because if you're not getting a little spooked, then it's not really a good movie. But yeah, I saw someone tweet that, and I immediately thought of that. I was like, you know what? I have that exact experience where someone did that at a young age. So, Mike, did your parents torture you like that when you were a kid, or am I the only one?
My parents didn't torture me, but I do have a sick uncle that watched The Exorcist and decided it would be a good idea for me to watch it alongside them. And yeah, that movie gave me nightmares for a good long while. To this day, that's still the scariest movie I've ever seen. It still freaks me out to this day. I think because of the fact that I saw it at such a young age and it had such a traumatic effect on me. So yes, that movie, you mentioned The Exorcist, and it still sends chills up and down my spine.
I'm sorry. Like, I mean, I'm sure Joel thought it too, because I know he's listening. But as soon as you said that, Mike, of course I'm thinking of Shawn Michaels. Send chills up and down their spine. It's just okay. I'm sorry. I don't mean to welcome you into my disconnected thoughts that are constantly going on in my head, but
they're not disconnected, because I can definitely, the minute you started laughing, I knew what you were laughing at, so
Good. No, look, actually, to your point, and this is something that look, I think a lot of, for the most part, I think older horror films are far better than this new age, and I'll give you a reason why. And it's not just back in my day when they were better. No, I mean, obviously the graphics are worse. The storylines in a way are very predictable, just like they are now. I mean, it's not like anything has changed, but I feel like there's far more substance to it. So like a movie like The Exorcist, or like the original Amityville Horror or something like that, I think is far spookier or crazier than this over-the-top gore stuff that we get now. Like, nowadays, I feel like, for the most part, horror movies are more shock and awe than actual thrilling scares. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, okay, to me, it's a little cheap. It's a little cheap to me.
Yeah.
And I just can't get over
think it's the attention span of the audience too.
That's
I think
true.
Everybody wants that constant barrage of, like, they want the constant visual image. If you don't give them the constant visual image, they're going to get bored very quickly, and that's exactly it. They'll look at movies like that, like Amityville or like The Exorcist, that have lulls, that have drags in the movie, and they'll be like, "Oh, this is boring. This is where's the gore? Where's the killing?" That's what they want to say. They want to see, and I think, and I'm not just saying that for horror films. I really think that's true of most films.
Oh, yeah.
I think that drama and lulls in the action are where things tend to go off the rails for the latest generation of moviegoers. So I think it's just a sign of the times more than anything.
Well, it's like I remember, obviously I saw the original Jurassic Park in theaters back in '93, and
right,
the technology at the time was so incredible to see how they brought all that to life with the dinosaurs and everything like that. And nowadays everything's so CGI heavy, and I feel like all too often it's too reliant. Movies are too reliant on CGI, and it's obvious. And to me, that takes away from the experience of it, because I think there's a certain amount that you can live with that keeps it quote unquote believable. I mean, obviously, it's Jurassic Park. I mean, it's only so believable, but you know what I mean. From a, you're putting yourself into the movie, into the actual film, so believable within that realm. You know what I mean? So, I don't know. Sometimes I feel like it's too heavy on stuff like that. And again, to keep it with the horror film stuff, it takes away from the movie, in my opinion, because gore is gore. I mean, sometimes it's cheap, sometimes it's worth it. But like, I brought up the movie Saw. I know I'm talking specifically of, let's say, the first one, because I think it's one of the, certainly of this generation, one of the better horror films. Because was it gory? Sure, but it wasn't really over the top. It wasn't like cheap thrill gore. It was psychological thriller, like get in your head, twist, turn, and you really, again, if you've seen the movie, you already obviously know the outcome, but it keeps you really on the edge of your seat, because you know what it does is it makes something come to the screen that you could believe could potentially happen to you. Like horror films, like when they get a little bit too, I don't know, over the top, they're not believable. Yeah, they, a cheap thrill here and there, but hey, for the most part, guess what? This isn't going to happen to me. A killer clown. Oh, okay, that's a bad example because I love the movie It, especially the original one. But you know what I'm saying? Like, you're not going to believe a killer clown's going to come out of the sewer, but you'd believe you could get kidnapped. And the focus of this of that movie was about morally objective people. So maybe if you have something that maybe you're not the best person in the world, maybe you're thinking over your shoulder like, wow, maybe there is someone out there that does shit like that, or excuse me, does stuff like that out there. And it adds a little extra thrill. So I don't know, I thought that was an interesting conversation, because I was more curious to see if your parents tried to screw with your head a little bit, try to toughen you up at a young age and be like, hey, watch this. It's a fun-loving
no,
movie,
it is,
Mike.
Yeah, it's true. No, my parents were very protective of my psyche, but I assure you that my uncle was not, and he took great pride in showing me that. And like I said, to this day, still a little. I'm not going to say it. Still a little shiver. Oh, damn it! He says that too. Damn it.
Yeah. It's all right. We're
make them shiver. Their knees get weak. That's my
up and down their spine.
Yep. And Sean trying to do the tough guy voice. Yeah, that's great. I love it.
Yeah. Well, and speaking of horror, I have actually a box set right here of the Friday the 13th back, just sitting here right here to my left. That's how I do business here. But anyways, hey, I thought it was interesting, and hey, it was a perfect way to wrap up the week. So as a reminder, next week is starting a whole bunch of draft coverage. We'll be talking about it here on this show. Then of course, like I said, Monday night, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Join us here once again on Full Press Radio. We'll be doing a broadcast talking about, or doing our mock draft, and then Thursday we'll be doing live coverage of the first round. So definitely tune in and get involved and have some fun with us. So we're gonna have to say goodbye. Have a great weekend, folks. Enjoy, relax, watch Mortal Kombat. I'm gonna watch Mortal Kombat. I don't know about you. I know that's in your wheelhouse, so I'm sure you're gonna watch it.
Oh yeah, I'll be watching.
Yeah, that's gonna be good. And I'm gonna be practicing my moves for Monday. I'm gonna show them off on camera. Don't take my word for that, by the way. Forget that I said that, because I'm not going to do that. And, of course, hey, in the meantime, follow us on Twitter at FPC Radio Live, at Full Press Radio. I'm at IGLEN31. And, of course, my man Mike is at MDABATEFPC. Give him a follow. He'll send shivers up and down your spine. Trust me, folks. And, of course, tune in Monday, 9 a.m. here for another great week of FPC Radio Live. Folks,